think obviously people watching this are going to have lots of questions. I think maybe we'll go through a few of them. I guess the first one is, I mean, obviously you mentioned the fact that you're not, just to clear this up, you're not musically trained, you weren't artistically trained, and before your experience meeting John, you hadn't been sort of creating art or doing music yourself before that?
No, definitely not. No, and someone in 1994 said, this is incredible. Get some sworn affidavits from everyone you know. And I got about 15 sworn affidavits, and I'd say to people, you know, that I grew up with in Liverpool from when I was 2 years of age, right the way through to colleagues and friends, 10, 20 years, you know, I'd known them, right through to my wife, who I was going through a rather acrimonious divorce. And I just said, I need you just to sign and swear an affidavit that I'd never done any music prior to November 1992. I'd been married for 10 years, so she said, why on earth do you want this? I said, does it matter? Just tell the truth. And, you know, that's what happened. So I've got all these, it didn't make sense at the time, but now it makes perfect sense, because the last time I did art was when I was at school, when I was 15 years of age. Never done anything since. And musically, I'd never done anything. And bear in mind, at the time, I was 38 years of age. If you were going to do something musical, I think you'd have done it a few days before then. So all this just came, and I can only describe it as being downloaded. It's not a long process, it's instant, like you press a button on a computer. That's how instant this is.
I think obviously you've been painting these wonderful works of art yourself. I guess I'm curious about the music, because I have heard some of the songs, and I mean, I've heard on some of the videos that you've released already, and one thing I was curious about was, I mean, do you perform? I mean, when you talk about downloading this information from John, did that include the ability to play musical instruments, or have you had to communicate that to other people?
Well, no, I've never done anything musical. In fact, the story goes, the year before, in 1991, we were at a friend's house playing Happy Families with our 2 children. We'd been going there for 5 years. Every New Year's Eve we'd go, and a couple of the men would have guitars and they'd play, you know, Buddy Holly or All Along the Watchtower, that sort of Peggy Sue and all that sort of stuff. And I go home from this with my wife and children, and we went back to our normal situation, which wasn't good. And she said, why don't you get a guitar? Maybe next year you'll be able to play a few tunes with the rest of them. Well, I went for a guitar lesson because it was free, and this guy handed me a guitar, and he said, oh, you're left-handed, you need a left-hand guitar. Gave me a card of a friend and said, right, go and buy a guitar. I had some lessons, and I wasn't able to hack it. In fact, the guy said to me, his name's Mike Clark, incidentally, he's signed an affidavit, and he said, Mike, you're wasting your money, I'm not going to take any more money off you. He said, you haven't even taken this guitar out the bag, have you? And I said, no, I wasn't remotely interested. This morning, I get up and go down to the lounge, get the guitar from behind the thing out of its case and play this song, and I'm able to relay to musicians the different, you know, how these songs, because some of them are very complex, by a series of dots. So it's like, let's see, okay, I've said standing on a corner, watching a man digging a hole to hell. So I do the dots where the notes, standing on a corner, da-da-da-da. That's simple. That's how I was able to relay it. But as I say, between not ever having done anything, and also I've never done one gig, but we are releasing this music. It's coming out, there's an album coming out in February with these songs on, with 12 of them anyway, but there's, as I say, 350 of them. It beggars belief, but something has guided me. And John must have known I'm a blank sheet of paper, and it's like, I'm not musical, there's no ego. And if I was musical, I'll tell you, every musician that's been around, I would be doing what they'd be doing. Oh no, that's not quite right, John. Suddenly I'd have a musical opinion. I don't have an opinion. I can just tell you exactly how the song goes. And then when I sing it and they go, wow, that's how, right, okay, we get it, you know. So that's the way it works, you know.
I think armies of John's fans around the world are going to want to know. Obviously, you don't have maybe a conversation with him in a sort of a traditional way, and it's not a traditional form of communication, but has he communicated in any other way to you anything about where he is or what's happening to him now?
Yeah, well, he's on the other side. This isn't, when you finish, the one thing I know categorically, this isn't the end of it. There's something else on the other side. And I think what's been coming through is how you live your life on Earth is how you live it on the other side. There's no dramatic change, but there's a peace about everything. However that happens, he is about, but the frustration for him is he can't come down here now and say, look, I've done this, because I know that's exactly what he'd do. And there wouldn't be a better place than here in Ripleys, which is like the centre, to me, the central London. The Eros, the thing in Piccadilly Circus. So I think the music, his message has not waned. It's always been to get this message of love all around the world. And it's not me. I'm not, someone who wants to peddle anything. I'm not religious. So I just say, right verbatim, this song Love or Love and Peace. There's half a dozen. And that's the crux of all of this, is to get his music heard. He had a lot of energy left to give. He was taken before his time, and he wanted my help. I mean, if you had that half the energy he had, that I've sensed. I mean, you're right, it's not a normal conversation. We don't sit there and I don't talk to the world for hours on end. It's this deadly serious thing that we communicate, and he passes me this stuff, but it's instant. It's not like, are you getting this, Mike? It's like, and I get it, and that's how. I mean, there's so many sightings I could tell you about that would either terrify you, but the fear of God up you. But I've had out-of-body experiences with him, and I've been on a craft out of this earth, and a way round, and it's a lot to take in. That's why, hopefully with the paintings, it gives someone an idea when they hear the music, because all this music to me is literal. I don't think any of it's complicated, although a producer will tell me this is sensational and never heard stuff like it. It's fantastic. It's me, it's what comes through, and it's all complete. Words and music, just like you'd hear on the radio.